Hi, I'm Alan Hedblum. Welcome to our show, a place to feel like you belong. Today in the studio, we welcome Maciek Bieżuński. Welcome to our show, Maciek.
Thank you for having me here today.
So, Maciek, you are maybe the most colorful guest we've had in the studio so far. You are a magician. I don't know that I will ever interview another magician in my life. So, welcome to the show. Tell us about, you competed in a competition.
Yes.
It was with Showville, AMC Showville.
Yes.
And tell us about that competition.
Well, it was kind of a show I always try to avoid because, I have my own world of magic, and I was always, you go to auditions and the judges judge you based on what they see for a few seconds. Basically, you don't have time to tell your story. So I was trying to kind of avoid this show, but things just happened, and I was just pulled by some energy to be part of this, and I went to auditions. I said a few words, and things happened.
So what was the audition process like?
Basically, I had like 2 minutes to tell about my magic. With what I did, I had to basically convince judges that they can either let me go home or move me to the next finals.
So how many people do you estimate were part of this competition?
It was like, I believe, like 70 people.
Okay. So
that came to the theater.
In the Midwest or in Michigan, or how broad was this competition?
Showville goes across the country.
Okay.
We had special edition in Holland.
Okay.
So it was advertised in the newspaper, on TV, and all local entertainers came for the auditions. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a competition. I remember interviews with judges after Showville or during Showville. They always stress that Holland has the biggest diversity of talent. So there was a lot of competition.
Oh, great. That's great. So what do you really enjoy about magic?
See, for me, magic is not about tricks. Tricks come as a secondary. For me, magic comes like a great moments of inspiration, great moment of wonder. I say magic in my life doesn't only happens on the stage. Throughout my life, I've been having those magical experiences. You may ask, for example, like what? One day I was way back in Poland. I was standing on a train station with my brother, and I said to him, you know what? I saw that flyer on the wall about lessons for English. I'm going to learn English. And then I can feel this energy as I speak to him. I say, and this language is going to change my life. And I said even more. I said, I'm going to teach this language. Now, try to imagine this. Before I even went to first lesson, I was talking about teaching this language. I had some kind of vision.
This is in, you were born in Cold War Poland, right? And where Polish and the second language was Russian.
Yes, Russian was forced on us. If you want to study some Western language like English, it was, during my times, it was quite hard to find good books to teach you or dictionaries. It was a luxury to go and find a dictionary.
Was it discouraged?
I would say yes. To a certain point. But it was quite difficult to get appropriate materials to study English. I was getting lessons from BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, which were coming to me kind of underground. Mm-hmm. They were coming through Swedish embassy, and then in a private envelope came to my home. And then at night, I could tune the radio to study English.
So this vision that you had, that you said, I am going to learn this language, I'm going to master this language, it's the same approach that you took to learning magic?
Yes. It's like when I learned my first trick, when I was holding my first trick in my hand, totally by accident, I didn't know what happened to me. I was so excited. I knew something happened to me, and I could feel the same energy. I knew what I'm holding in my hand is going to take me further. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm going to go with it because I can feel the energy.
So now your day job is working as the activities director at the Laurel's Nursing and Rehabilitation Home in Hudsonville.
In Hudsonville, yes.
Right. But you got your start
in
magic in front of a group of seniors.
Yes. When I came to, when I came to work, I just wanted to bring something more with me. Not just take care of something, but I wanted to bring something more, something that we could enjoy. So I could say to one of our residents, I said, before we do this, can I show you a trick? And to a certain point, I learned how to do those tricks, but there was something happening. It wasn't about the trick. It was those smiles. I could see in those faces. You know, sometimes I heard sometimes from people over the years when I was performing, are you still doing those shows in those nursing homes? I say, yes, I do. I don't know how far magic will take me. I will always be looking on the side for a nursing home because I consider nursing home birthplace for my magic. Mm-hmm. That's where things started growing. And elderly people with disabilities, they were kind of protecting me of what I was doing. They were encouraging to me. They were always, they always had something kind to tell me, and every word of kindness I heard, I took it, and I put it in my pocket. It's been going like this. I never took any kind word for granted, mm-hmm. and that's how I grew. That's how my magic was feeding on.
So they were really a safe space for you.
They were safe space. There were places to grow, and there were also places to connect with people.
Is a senior crowd ever a tough crowd?
I would say I've seen people in senior crowds who told me they've seen everything. They live their lives. They've seen magicians. They've seen. They told me names. So I was sometimes like, who? So I can't really show you anything new. But for some reason, they were very encouraging to me. Mm-hmm. And they were saying that I do it a different way. I'm not in this for the tricks. I'm in this for something more.
Well, you had talked about that earlier when we were chatting, that a magic show is not about techniques. It's not about you.
Right.
It's really about involving the audience.
Right. I remember the show that really inspired me years ago. After the act, when I've seen on TV, I was so lucky because I taped this. I don't even know why I taped this, but I caught the act. And after the act, I didn't feel like I was tricked. I didn't feel like I was, blown away. But something was going on I could not explain. I was inspired. Mm-hmm. I was like, no way. I was asking questions like, what about me? Do I have any talents? I wish I could do something like this, but it's impossible. I was thinking like, it's not for me. I could never do anything like this. But then the moment of inspiration stuck with me. And I had the tape. And I was watching the tape basically every day for at least a couple years. Every day before I went to work, I watched. I like everything about the music. I like everything about the costuming. I like everything about the presentation. It was just magical. But it also made me question my life. Like, I'm so inspired. I wish. And things happened.
Mm-hmm. You were telling me about one particular performance where there was a boy in a wheelchair in the audience. Can you share that story?
Yes. I was in Holland for the annual Street Performer series, and the crowd was huge. And I was surrounded by the crowd. I was doing magic, and I saw that boy in the wheelchair, and he was so excited watching this. And I have those tendencies pulling people from the crowd. So I just said, excuse me, and I kind of reached for the boy. And I saw somebody who was with him, his sister or somebody, and I saw some kind of concern on her face, like she was a little bit uneasy, like does he know what he's doing? Mm-hmm. And I was at that moment of this, I was at that moment when, yes, I knew what I was doing. So I went behind the wheelchair, and I kind of wheeled him in front of everybody, just where my table was. And then the boy was so excited. And his hands were like going all over. And it was very important for me to have his hands still for what I wanted to do. I was not going to send him back.
You were committed.
Yes, I was committed. And then I even glanced at his head, and he had scars, and it gave me an idea that he possibly had some had surgery, serious head surgery, and maybe this is kind of like side effect that when he gets excited, he's a little bit just excited.
Sure.
But there was that moment when our hands came together that he was totally calm.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at him like a disabled or somebody after surgery. It was somebody that I wanted so bad to share magic. And everything went so good. We got good applause, the boy got applause. And then I remember forever, I looked, whoever was with him, and I saw that nice, big smile on her face. And I knew, all is good.
You had put her at ease and...
Yes,
and,
put her at ease.
yeah. And taken the chance to involve somebody who would be scary to some of us.
Right. Over the years, performing at a variety of places, but also performing in places like nursing homes, hospitals, I interact with a lot of people with disabilities, and I believe by all means they are most welcome to share magic with me, those magical moments. And some of the smiles I've seen, you have to see it to believe it.
Sure, sure. And how wonderful that you are able to, maybe because of your experience as this activities director at the nursing home, able to put yourself aside and totally be in their space and give them
yes.
that simple, calm presence and respect.
I believe that what makes really inspiring show, it's not just performer on the stage, let me show you what I can do, you just sit and watch. I believe that making inspiring show that makes you wonder and makes you really makes you feel the energy is when the audience is a part of the show, when the performer depends on the audience, when the audience is the lifeline, when you are grounded to the audience. When all those ingredients come together, we're talking about good magical experience.
Well, I'd like to introduce a new kind of magic to the conversation. You grew up in central Poland, just a little outside of Warsaw, and you signed up for a pen pal service.
Yes.
And you met a woman who later was to become your wife.
Yes.
How does that work? How does one fall in love thousands of miles apart in an era where international phone conversations are too expensive, where there's no Skype, no email?
Right.
How does one do that? How is it possible to fall in love?
It was a different world before internet was so popular. I told you I had idea about studying English, and I had this understanding right in front. I will go wherever it takes me. And then I thought, if I want to study English, I have to make this language alive. I have to make this language work. So I knew a few words. You could write all my words on a piece of paper, but I just kind of employed them to work in order to gain experience with the language, to learn more words. So I was looking for pen pals in different parts of the world. And I remember my first letter came from a church from Texas, from Baptist church, when I just wrote a letter to a church. Hi, my name is so-and-so, I live in Poland, and a few sentences. And I sent this out. And then when the letter came from Texas, from the church, I was so excited. I felt like the whole world came back to me. You have to remember, I was living behind the Iron Curtain. We could not travel. I could not get the passport. So when I was sending letters, I felt like actually I was traveling. I wasn't traveling physically, but my words, my thoughts, my thinking could get out. So I had this sense of freedom, even though living almost like in a prison.
So
and then when the letter came from Caroline, it was very striking because we had very similar interests, basically musically. She used to be a DJ, so she had interest in music. We had the same names. We exchanged a couple letters, and after exchanging a couple letters, couple of the pictures, there was something special in the air.
Okay, because you said she had corresponded with actually a number of other people around the world.
Around the world, yes.
But your letters spoke to her somehow
yes.
magically that others didn't.
I compare this like having two radio broadcasters across the world, and you're trying to tune to the certain frequency, wave, And I believe our frequency was very clear and very strong. It still is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, the theme of our show is belonging. And you said something very interesting when we were talking earlier about belonging for you was most or felt most powerful or was remarkable on the street on 8th Avenue in Holland, Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah. How does belonging happen in a business, in a commercial district?
Well, the 8th Street. Every year, Holland organizes a street performer series. So different performers are invited. For the last at least 4 years, I've been invited to perform in Holland on the 8th Street. I've been performing them so many times. I poured so much sweat during summer heat. I met so many people. So I tend to call 8th Street as my street. Because every day, even if I believe if I went on 8th Street today, if I walk on 8th Street, I guarantee I would find somebody that I know, or somebody who knows me. And I know I would say hi to somebody, somebody would say hi to me. And those small things, if you walk down the street, if you have somebody, if you expect that somebody can say hi, it doesn't have to happen. But if you have this feel that there are people that can know you, or people that you can know, it gives you the sense that home, that you belong.
Well, and in fact, you've at one point or another have touched or inspired people magically in that space and created that relatedness.
And I have to go for a moment back to Laurel's again. It's another. I said this to Hollywood people. I said I consider a nursing home as one of the most inspiring places that happened in my life, and they were very wowed by this, because sometimes people say, "Oh, nursing homes can be a very depressing place, a place you wouldn't like to go." And I believe that, oh yes, great things have the right and place to take care in a nursing home.
Well, I want to thank you. This has been absolutely inspiring for me, and I know for our viewers. Thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you for having me.
And for our viewers, please stand by, because shortly we'll be coming up with our segment called What'd You Say? During the conversation with Maciek the magician, you heard him say, nursing home. This is a residential center for people who need living assistance, either due to old age or perhaps to injury or stroke. Later in the conversation, Maciek said, we're wowed by this. This means they were impressed by this. They became excited enough to say, wow. If there were other new or difficult expressions that you heard, you can read about them by checking out the What'd You Say section for the interview with Maciek the magician. Every citizen knows the president, along with state governors, have the right to grant pardons to citizens who have committed a crime. With one stroke of a pen, they can overturn convictions of people they think deserve a second chance. And those convicted persons can go free. This pardon procedure apparently applies to dinner birds as well. Ever since George H.W. Bush in 1989, the U.S. president has given pardons to large turkeys just days before Thanksgiving, the holiday where Americans consume 45 million turkeys. The story goes that this turkey pardoning actually started in the Lincoln administration when the president's son begged his dad to let the holiday bird go, claiming that it had as much right to live as anyone else. The kind Mr. Lincoln gave in, and the bird was spared. However, do you know what happens to the birds whose lives are spared by the leader of the free world? Read more about last year's presidential turkey pardon at our website under the What's Up section. Spoiler alert, it doesn't turn out well for the turkeys. Have a good holiday, everyone. And remember not to gobble down your food at the Thanksgiving table. It's Thanksgiving week in the United States, folks, and the family cook is shopping for that perfect bird to bring home to cook for the table full of noisy relatives. If you live on a farm, you won't need to go to the store to find your dinner. Just walk out in the yard and select the largest, juiciest bird you can see. Of course, if you can't see it all, it will be harder to do. Here's one of my longtime favorite cartoons. Do you know why the farmer is wearing dark glasses and carrying a white cane? If you don't see why this cartoon is so funny, check out our explanation under the What's So Funny portion of our website. And have a relaxing weekend, everyone.